Well, good morning, everybody. We got a whole lot to unpack here. Guess what package it is? We're unpacking the lingerie chest right now. We got a whole lot to uncover. Hang tight. J.D. Vance says President Trump did nothing wrong in connection with Jeffrey Epstein. The Pentagon has confirmed that it spent decades using UFO conspiracy theories to cover up highly classified weapons programs. According to Wall Street Journal, President Donald Trump allegedly called Elon Musk a big-time drug addict in private discussions. Iran claims it has stolen Israel's nuclear archives, obtaining thousands of sensitive documents detailing Tel Aviv's nuclear facilities. Protesters in Paramount, California vandalized the U.S. Marshals Service bus amid demonstrations opposing immigration raids. A Florida monster beat his ex-girlfriend's toddler so violently that the child's spine was completely severed, resulting in her death. Border Czar Tom Homan announced the National Guard is being deployed to Los Angeles last night. Gavin Newsom has confirmed that Donald Trump has taken command of the California National Guard and is deploying 2,000 troops to Los Angeles. We have much more on this. Looks like the Marines might be deployed as well. Let's see what happens tomorrow. The members and units of the National Guard called into federal service shall be at least 2,000 National Guard personnel, and the duration of duty shall be for at least 60 days or the discretion of the Secretary of Defense. Things broke out last night. U.S. Northern Command releases the below statement. The Secretary of Defense directed the U.S. Northern Command to assume command of 2,000 California National Guard forces to protect federal personnel and federal property in the greater Los Angeles area in support of the lead federal agency. As necessary, active duty Marines also may be employed to augment and support the protection of federal functions. Additional information will be provided as units are identified and deployed. You're witnessing history and you got a front row seat. Who controls the National Guard? Why was the National Guard recently activated in select cities within the U.S.? Can the National Guard work in coordination with the Marines? Yes. Do conditions need to be satisfied to authorize? Yes. What former president used the military to save the republic, and what occurred exactly? You want to tell me? Leave the hard questions to y'all. The directive aligns with Q Post number 22 military focus, confirming federal non-government National Guard control and opening the door to Marine coordination in Los Angeles amid immigration-related unrest. In your Q-framed long-term plan, this is a pivotal move to enforce border security, expose democratic corruption via sanctuary policies, and potentially escalate to habeas corpus and suspension if conditions worsen. The National Guard's current role sets the stage, with Marines poised to amplify the operation using operational insights possibly guided by speculative quantum viewing. This supports the Save the Republic narrative, but hinges on managing unrest and legal hurdles. Under Article 2, National Guard is under the command of the President when deemed that the local governments will not take the necessary steps to suppress a perceived uprising or insurrection. The President shall be the Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and for militia of the several states when called into actual service of the United States. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer in each executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of their respective offices, and shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. He shall have power by and with the advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the senators concur, and he shall nominate, and by and with the advice and consent of the Senate shall appoint ambassadors and other public ministers and consuls not here and otherwise provided for, which shall be established by law, but the Congress may by law vest the appointment of such inferior officers as they think proper, in the President alone, in the courts of law, and the heads of departments. The President shall have the power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which shall expire at the end of their session. Interesting. Is that why we're bringing a whole lot of hardware down there to Washington, D.C.? Going to be a big roundup on the 14th? I don't know. I think there's a whole lot happening. We're going to show you some footage that's going to stun you. The federal government is moving to take over the California National Guard and deploy 2,000 soldiers. That move is purposely inflammatory and will only escalate tensions. LA authorities are able to access law enforcement assistance at the moment's notice. We are in close coordination with the city and county, and there's currently no unmet need. The Guard has been admirably serving LA throughout the recovery. This is wrong. This is the wrong mission and will erode public trust. Siding with invaders over the citizens, today the LAPD became aware of the federal law enforcement agencies conducted activities in the city of Los Angeles. I'm aware of these actions cause anxiety for many Angelinos. Oh, I didn't know that they were referred to as that. So I want to make it clear the Los Angeles Police Department is not involved in civil immigration enforcement. While LAPD will continue to have a visible presence in all the communities to ensure public safety, we will not assist or participate in any sort of mass deportations, nor will the LAPD try to determine an individual's immigration status. Well, thanks for the help there. Since 1979, our policy has barred officers from initiating police action solely to determine a person's immigration status. Is that why you're having all the problems out there? The department remains focused on critical issues like crime reduction, enhancing public safety, and improving the quality of life for all Angelinos. Well, if they're focused on crime reduction, why don't you get the people that already committed a crime to get in the United States first of all illegally? Oh, that makes too much sense, doesn't it? I want everyone, including our immigrant community, to feel safe calling the police in their time of need and know that the LAPD will be there for you without regard to immigration status. And he says, I want everyone, whether you're here illegally or not. Oh, goodness. Who's paying for your services then? The violent mob assaults on ICE and federal law enforcement are designed to prevent the removal of criminal illegal aliens from our soil, a dangerous invasion facilitated by criminal cartels, also known as foreign terrorist organizations, and a huge national security risk. Under President Trump, violence and destruction against federal agents and federal facilities will not be tolerated. It's common sense. The Department of Defense is mobilizing the National Guard immediately to support federal law enforcement in Los Angeles. And if violence continues, active duty Marines at Camp Pendleton will also be mobilized that are on high alert. And let's continue to grow and let's get to know each other just a little bit here more. Today, I want to talk to you about something special that's on my heart, thriving through adversity. We all face challenges, big and small, and sometimes it feels like the weight of the whole world is on our shoulders. But as we reflect on the journey of the incredible people like Nick Vujicic, we are reminded of the extraordinary power of resilience and the ability to overcome even the most daunting obstacles. Nick, as you may know, was born without legs and arms. A life that, by all accounts, could have been filled with pain, frustrations, and limitations. But instead, Nick chose a different path. Let me show you who Nick is. This is Nick, okay? And yes, he was born without any legs, without any arms. Nick's story is proof that no matter the adversity, you can choose how to respond and you can thrive. As we think about our own lives, it's important to remember no matter how tough things get, we still have choices. We have the freedom to decide how we face adversity, and the freedom that is something we often take for granted. In the face of struggles, we have the power to rise and overcome. Now imagine for a moment that you were born in a third world country where opportunities are scarce, where freedom is limited, and where the struggles you face are amplified by the circumstances beyond your control. The truth is, many of us have never had to experience that reality. We're fortunate. We live in a country where we have the freedom to pursue our dreams, to build a better future, and to speak our minds and expose lies and crimes. And with that privilege comes responsibility, the responsibility to make the most of our opportunities, to push forward in the face of adversity, and to honor the freedom we have by choosing to uplift others. When we think about those who are facing far greater challenges than we can imagine, it helps to put things into perspective. It makes our own struggles seem more manageable, doesn't it? Sure, we all face moments of doubt, fear, and pain, but we also have resources. We have our mindset, our will, our community, Tedheads. And most importantly, the freedom to choose how we move forward. Remember, adversity does not define us. It's how we respond to it does. Just like Nick Vujicic, who turned his challenge into a platform for inspiration. We too can turn our obstacles into stepping stones. We can choose to thrive, to be grateful for what we have, and to use our freedom to shape the future we desire. So today, as you face whatever challenges come your way, think about the incredible freedom and opportunities we have in this country, and let it fuel your push to push harder, rise higher, never give up.
Do not go in there.
radio journalist from Michigan was shooting video that day at the Capitol. What he captured were two, most charitably called suspicious actors, but they are dressed in such a way that led him to believe that they were government agents. And one of them, after the windows had been broken by a protester, it was encouraging people to pull the rest of the glass out and go inside. Bobby Powell, who was the journalist that had shot it, and he has his camera rolling, he told him that would be illegal and that wouldn't be a good idea. He warned people off not to go into that window, and then he turned his camera around and he caught this agent or suspicious actor pulling a large pane of glass out, this tempered glass. It kind of folds into itself, crunch onto the ground. When he realized he was being filmed, he quickly dropped it. It seems apparent on the video that he did not want to be seen doing what he just did. So he pulled in a protester and started blaming him. He said, "What are you doing breaking that window?" The poor fellow that was being accused didn't know what was going on. And then he gave him a couple of really good shoves and cocked his arm like he was going to punch him. We don't know his facial image.
When George Bush and Al Gore ran for president, they had 3 debates. Nobody said, "What are you going to do when the twin trade towers come down, when the Pentagon's bombed? When the twin trade towers come down, when the Pentagon's bombed, when the Pentagon's bombed, when the Pentagon's bombed, when the Pentagon's bombed."
Look at the indictments. News Treason, Channel 17, great guy. He keeps a close eye on the sealed indictments. And from what he's saying, it's already started. So check this out. 578207 sealed.
Then it says unsealed 78,862, and then sealed remaining 499,345.
Have they started unsealing the indictments? We've been waiting for this for 7 years.
Sealed indictments are being unsealed. We, the public, may not be able to see it yet, but we'll be able to sooner than later now when the notable treasonous traitors start catching cases publicly. They won't be able to hide it from us. It's happening, guys.
Indeed it is. I love God. I trust his plan. I will be his faithful soldier until the day I die. But he needs to rethink this whole mosquitoes thing. Director Patel's Las Vegas home swatted after FBI seizes Dr. Fauci's work phones and hard drives from 2020. Who's running the show over there? Elon Musk has deleted his post about Trump and Epstein. He's reconsidering his position on the BBB. Elon and Trump have the chance to do the funniest thing ever. Relax, guys. It was just a prank. Calm down, everybody. It was just a prank, a beautiful prank. Absolutely. In a clawback for ants, House unveils bill to recover $9.4 billion in waste, fraud, and abuse. While the so-called big, beautiful bill may have killed the bromance between Elon Musk and President Trump, House Republicans released a bill on Friday that would rescind $9.4 billion in federal spending ahead of a floor vote next week, largely made up of waste, fraud, and abuse found by Doge. The 7-page bill would rescind $22 million from the U.S. African Development Foundation, $15 million from the U.S. Institute for Peace, and billions of dollars in bilateral economic assistance. It would also codify some of the cuts identified in the Department of Government Efficiency. As the Epoch Times noted further, the White House sent the package to Congress last week under the Congressional Budget and Impoundment Control Act of 1974. Trump administration's asked Supreme Court to allow dismantling of Education Department. The Trump administration asked the Supreme Court on June 6th to allow it to resume dismantling the U.S. Department of Education following a lower court's previous order halting the process. A federal district court issued an injunction last month blocking the process, directing the government to rehire some of the departmental employees who had been laid off. Each day this preliminary injunction remains in effect subjects the executive branch to judicial micromanagement of its day-to-day operations, Solicitor General I.D. John Salyer said in a new emergency application. House Education Committee gets it right. Restore excellence and dump DEI. On May 21st, the House Education Committee held a hearing. Restoring excellence, the case against DEI or diversity, equity, and inclusion, or didn't earn it, a euphemism for neo-racism and therefore a wolf in sheep's clothing. Thankfully, the hearing got this message across, and the presiding chairman, Congressman Burgess Owens of South Carolina, should be commended for convening it. The panel had 4 witnesses: a Manhattan Institute fellow named Renu Marachi, a Dr. Sean Harper, a Prevost professor from the University of Southern California, an attorney for American Civil Rights Project, Dan Morfor, and Kurt. There's going to be a quiz on this. tomorrow.
Ever wondered why the word ship is at the end of everything? There's a hidden spell behind every word. Your body is 60% water, and you were born through your mother's waters. When a ship pulls up to its bay, it's called the birth canal. The ship gives birth to the products on the ship. When the ship arrives, it gets a certificate of manifest certifying all the products on the ship. When you arrive in your mother's water, you get a certificate of manifest, which is your birth certificate, because you are a product to the system. On that birth certificate, there's a date. And that date is the Gregorian calendar, which is a copyrighted timeline created by Pope Gregory. Therefore, on paper, your name is a corporation and it's signed to a copyrighted timeline. When you get a letter and your name is in full capital letters, that's your corporation, not you. You can't tax a physical body, but you can tax a corporation. You are the I am, and your consciousness is identifying itself with the corporation, which is attached to the system. The word calendar comes from calends, which is the first day of the month the Romans had to pay their tax. God's calendar is a 28-day moon cycle. They made an artificial calendar to control you. Bank is a river bank, and money is water. That's why money in the bank is called a currency, because the banks direct the flow of the current, and that's why we call it liquidity. The English language is a giant spell to keep you attached to the system. Identifying yourself with the body and the name is keeping us attached to this system.
This was removed from the history books.
It was the story about George Washington.
The bulletproof president?
Yeah.
You know, George Washington was a courier for General Braddock, one of the English generals during the French and Indian War. All of the couriers were killed, and Washington had 2 horses shot from beneath him, and he had 4 bullet holes in his jacket, but no flesh wounds. He had bullet fragments in his hair, no flesh wounds. Many years later, he still hadn't become president yet, but he was back in the area, and one of the Indian chiefs who had been involved was elderly at that point, near death. He said to his braves, "Take me to see this man. I must see him before I die." And when they brought him in the presence of Washington, he said, "Sir, I'm an expert marksman, and I shot you 17 times, and my men shot you." And pretty soon I told them to stop wasting their bullets. And I just wanted to meet the man who was protected by the great presence above. Wow. That story used to be in all of our history books until it became politically incorrect.
Why was it politically incorrect?
God.
And if you've been following us for a while, you all know that one of our favorite songs is Holy Forever. But we found a rendition of this. I think this is going to absolutely sit you back in your seat. See, God is global. And more importantly, we would like to dedicate this to one of our top subscribers and one of our top contributors. Lilia, we love you. We'll be looking forward to working with you for many, many years to come. You're a wonderful person. And all our other news contributors, thank you very much. Everyone that had their fingers in today's broadcast, I certainly hope you enjoy what we're bringing to you next. God is global, and so is this message. Till then, see you tomorrow morning. Got a whole lot of news we'll be unpacking then. Bye-bye.